Let's bring on our good friend Pete Iorizzo, who is the columnist and the sports editor for the Times-Union. He's got a spot on our show every Monday reacting to his column on Sunday. Good morning, Pete. How are you?
Good. How's it going, guys?
Well, listen, this is opening week of Saratoga. Don't we count down for the opening week? I know Tim Wilkin does. Do you count down as soon as that meet's over for next year already?
Probably. I don't start my countdown quite as soon as Tim does. I think Tim's begins, as he's walking out of the track on Labor Day.
You'll be there, though, on Friday, won't you?
I'm not sure yet, actually. I may work from up there. I may have to run things in the newsroom.
All right. Well, in any regards, I'm sure I will see you at some point in Saratoga as the meet gets set to begin. The Olympics are here, Pete, and you brought up an old story that's now a new story, and that is the young man from Burn Hills, a Burn Hills High graduate, talking about Nick Delpopolo in the sport of judo, and competed in the 2012 Olympics before failing an in-competition test for marijuana, and there's an interesting story behind that, and now here he is, to his credit, 4 years later, worked his tail off, and he's going to Rio with a chance to medal. You wrote a column. The headline is Delpopolo refuses to be defined by mistake, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, he. I think he probably made all the media rounds this week. He was back in Glenville training with Jason Morris, who was a 1992 silver medalist and who he had trained with before the London game. And really, in just the past few weeks, it's the first time in a long time that he's really started to talk about what he went through and getting back to the games. I mean, you have to imagine it was difficult for a guy who's in, the relatively anonymous sport of judo. He's 23 years old, and all of a sudden, I mean, it's like literally the whole world is laughing at him because, I mean, how could anyone conceive of someone being kicked out of the Olympics over a pot brownie? It's so ridiculous that it's hard to even imagine how that could happen. And for a while, I think he just kind of wanted to lay low and hope that everyone forgot about him. But that definitely changed, and he rededicated himself to the sport. And now that he's punched his ticket to Rio, I think he's happy to talk about what happened to him, and to make sure that that's not the only thing that people remember him for.
Well, you wrote there was a lot of anger, some sympathy, and many easy jokes. What was his story behind the pot brownie that cost him so dearly in 2012?
All he will say, at least all he would tell me, is that he ate it accidentally. That he didn't know what it was. He was at a party. It was, it was just after he had qualified for the London game, and ate a brownie. Didn't know it was a pot brownie, and that's what happened. I asked him if he cared to explain any further, and he said he didn't. But I think at first there were a lot of people who didn't believe him, who said, "No, come on, there's no way that you could accidentally eat a pot brownie." And but he's maintained that that's what happened all along.
Pete, do you believe him?
It's a good question. I think I do. I don't think I did at first, and now I do, because I guess I've come around on the idea that it's really hard to make the Olympics, and it seems so ridiculous to think that you would dedicate your entire life toward something and then risk throwing it all away over something as ridiculous as a pot brownie. I'm not sure I felt that way at first. I think when it first happened, I was sort of like, look, all these people are, anybody who is an athlete at that level, they're just, they're fanatical about the way they eat. How could somebody accidentally eat a pot brownie? But I think I've sort of come around that, it must have happened accidentally because why would somebody be so stupid?
Yeah,
he doesn't strike me as a stupid guy.
I could see where you might not believe it, just because. But look, the bottom line is he's a local young man who was disqualified. Whether you believe the story, don't believe the story, it happened. 4 years later, here he is with a chance. And in 2012, he was 7th before his disqualification. So my question to you, Pete, and talking to him, does he think he has a legitimate shot to be on that medal stand in Rio?
Yeah, and hey, listen, I am certainly no expert in international judo, but I mean the fact that he was seventh the last time would lead me to believe that he's got a shot. That it's not unrealistic for him to have that goal.
I think he's got a shot. Listen, he's back training with Jason Morris, by the way. He said 1992, right? I remember covering Jason, and he won a silver, and he's got his school that just churns out one Olympic hopeful after another. Been going on for years. He's back over with Jason Morris, been training the way he has the last 4 years. I guarantee you he's got a shot. But so much of that sport has to do with the draw, who you get first, and what the road is to try to get to the championship and the win either gold or to even be able to play. So there's some of that involved, but it sounds like he's done all the right things in the last 4 years, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing you have to give the guy credit for is, I mean, it's not like he just woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to try to put this behind me and bought a plane ticket to Rio, and then he was there. I mean, he had to do it all over again. He had to qualify for the Olympics all over again, which is something he had worked his entire life toward, and then all of a sudden it was gone. You know, it's not like you just pick up where you left off. You had to start from scratch all over again. So to me, I mean, certainly the guy deserves a second chance, because it was not a second chance that was just handed to him. It was one he worked really hard for.
Are we pronouncing his name correctly?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. 'Cause I always sometimes wonder. Nick Delpopolo.
It's a good question, because I just have to spell it right.
Yeah, you just have to spell it correctly. Right. Yeah. Well, he's on our radar. He's on our list as we try to, localize Olympics every year, in which athletes are from the capital region or trained in the capital region. And in this case, we got a Burn Hills High School graduate who has a chance to medal in the sport of judo, and it's one that we will be following. Pete, before I let you go, I know you're a big Jets fan. That's your team. Were you surprised on Friday when and it's one of our headlines this morning, Mohammed Wilkerson got the deal done with the Jets, 5-year, $86 million. Did that surprise you at all when you heard that news on Friday?
Yeah, it really did. It seemed like that the Jets were going to be content to let him play out the franchise tag and then use the money for something else. I was surprised that they ended up with a 5-year contract, although I believe only the first 2 years are guaranteed, right? So it seems to me like it's a good deal for the Jets, because you're not committing a ton of money over the long term, and obviously there's no denying that Wilkerson is an impact player.
Now, the bigger question, as a Jets fan, Pete, do you think the Ryan Fitzpatrick deal gets done before camp, or is this going to linger into camp and throughout camp before the two sides can agree on a contract for the upcoming season?
No, if I were going to bet, I would bet that it gets done. Because, I mean, at this point, the Jets probably don't want to go into the season with Geno Smith as their starting quarterback. And if there was another team out there that was willing to pay Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think it would have happened already.
Well, let me tell you something. The future quarterback of the Jets is already there. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I knew you.
Christian Hackenberg.
What a shock, Roger, that you're in the corner of the guy from Penn State.
Yes, I am. Surprise, a shocker there, right, Pete? Pete, thanks so much. We enjoy your columns in the Sunday Times Union. We'll continue to react to those in the 10:30 slot here on Monday mornings on 104.5. The team and Big Board Sports. Have a great week, and I'll see you in Saratoga soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Roger. Maybe I'll see you there Friday.
You got it.